Welcome to the Dave Mierswa Show.
Good morning.
I hope everyone is having a great Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
This is a little different of an intro here this morning. So let me just make a few more adjustments on the microphone. All right, so we got the show up and started.
Fabulous, yes.
A couple minutes late. Let me just turn down this microphone. It's a little loud. So, welcome to my show. 12 noon every Sunday. This is the Dave Mierswa Show. Been a lawyer for almost 20 years. The show about the people, for the people, bringing justice to the people.
Perfect.
So I have a really great co-host that'll introduce herself, and I have a really great show for you today. I have a great guest. So,
All right.
Go ahead.
So I'm Peggy Busceni, and I'm the co-host of the Dave Mierswa Show. And this is like, we're running into our third month now where I get to be co-host of this really cool show. So this is pretty amazing. So I love being here.
keep with the compliments. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh.
And do you want to introduce yourself and who you are and what kind of trouble you get into?
Sure. I'm Mayor Rich Hill from the village of Round Lake Beach. I've been mayor since 2001 and actually went on the board as a trustee in 1995. I've lived in Round Lake Beach since 1977, and before that I lived all the way over in Ingleside. So
Wow.
pretty much a local boy.
Wow,
Yeah.
Lake County.
Yes.
Fantastic. And you met, you're on the board here for WRLR.
Yes, years ago Bish asked me to join when they were forming the radio station, and that was an exciting time going through that. Senator Joe Kiris helped quite a bit. She got some funding for us and made some doors open up to make it happen, and it's been a wonderful experience.
It's neat. I've only been here for about a year, and I gotta say, just in the 1 year, the transformation of WRLR. A lot more shows have come on, and a lot of guests. We have the LEG show that was just on, and she's a high school student, so she had a great show.
She did.
And so let's get into putting you in the hot seat, Mayor.
Wonderful.
So, well, first of all, thank you for coming on my show. And I know we talked on Facebook, and I probably posted something controversial.
Dave would never do that.
Oh, no.
Caught your eye. And so a big thank you for coming on the show.
Mhm.
At least it's not 8 o'clock in the morning.
Well, it's either this or go watch the Bears game, so
Oh, well.
they're not doing so well.
Oh, all right. So then the lesser of two evils,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So Mayor, tell us a little bit about your background and how long have you been mayor of, it's Round Lake Beach, correct?
Correct, yes. Actually, I started out working in town here over at the Ace Hardware back in 1978 over in Round Lake. In '86, I became the Human Resource Director for the 3 stores they had at that time. And then I got in the Chamber of Commerce. And through the Chamber of Commerce, I was asked to be on the Partnership Board of Commissioners back in like 1992. And that was a lot of fun, exciting. Everyone loves recreation, so you were everybody's friend. It was real nice. There was an election in 1993 when the new mayor came into Round Lake Beach. And I was being told by other people things are not going very well. We need you to run. We need some trustees. I thought, okay, I'll go check out a meeting. I went to a finance committee meeting, and sure enough, they didn't have enough for a quorum to even hold the meeting. But since I was there as audience participation, they let me have some documents, look it over, the budget they were talking about, and I started pointing out some errors they had in their budget, where they had $750,000 coming in from the TIF district, but not going back out to pay the bonds. They said, oh, you don't know finances, you know what you're looking at. And I was like, okay, this looks pretty simple, but then I found another one for $250,000, and after that, I decided I had to run. There was just way too much money involved here. That they only had a $6 million budget, and I found $1 million in errors.
Wow.
So it was very concerning.
Wow.
So my slate won. I thought about running for mayor then in '97, but the former mayor, Carl Shrimp, wanted to run also, and I know if we both ran, the current mayor would win again, which he won anyway. So then I had worked with the trustees, and we were on opposite sides originally, and they didn't think that was right, I didn't think that was right. So we worked together and we got a lot accomplished. The mayor at that time did not like that though. So he was always against me, and then when I announced I was gonna run for mayor in 2001, 4 other people announced they were gonna run. But it turns out when we filed our petitions, I was the only one that filed. So I'm not sure if they sucked me into that or what, but I ended up running unopposed.
There was probably something behind that.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's a good
So
story.
it's been exciting, had a few competitions along the way, but we've always won quite heavily, and my slate's always won completely, no one's ever lost. we're coming up for a re-election actually next April again.
Oh,
So
wow.
looking forward to that.
So how many, it's a 4-year term or 2?
4-year term. I'm in my 4th term right now. Next spring I'll be running for my 5th term.
Great.
I'm very blessed to have a good board. Everyone works well together. They work professionally together. We disagree on a lot of things, and we'll talk it out until we can come to agreement on and make things work.
Well, do you
No one
really-
ever yells or screams.
That's good, but you know, do you really want a board that agrees on everything?
No, you wouldn't need a board then.
Right, yeah, so, you know, that's, some people find that very disconcerting that a board disagrees, but it really sort of brings new focus into each item that you guys talk about, right? I mean,
Yeah, the perspectives from different points of view and different points of life.
yeah, yeah.
It helps.
So, yeah, because not everyone gets along all the time.
Not here in Lake County, and
Oh, heck
certainly not
no.
in Chicago.
No,
Nothing goes on in Chicago.
a lot of things.
So, so you've been out here in Lake County for how many years? Your whole life?
Actually, I moved out here when I was 6. I lived in over Spring Grove up until I was 6 years old.
Oh, very
Pretty much
nice.
my whole life, and McHenry County's not that far away.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I love it out here. I lived in Cook County for a while, and then I moved out here about 13 years ago, and never looked back since. I love Lake County,
Yeah.
and I love McHenry. I guess I love all the suburbs.
Yeah.
Is what I'm getting at. So, if you don't mind me asking a little bit more about your background.
Sure.
Were you ever in the military at all?
I was not. My brother served in the Army. My dad served in the Army. He was a disabled veteran from World War II. He's passed away now, but he had,
Oh, sorry to
he
hear
had
that.
shrapnel go through his elbow, and his
Oh,
elbow was
God.
like this the rest of his life. He could never
Okay.
bend it,
Wow.
which it worked out okay for him, but it was difficult.
What theater was he in?
He's over in Germany,
Okay.
yeah, and my uncle Major, he was at the Battle of the Bulge.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. so,
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's a lot of history military in my family. I just never joined myself.
Okay. Well, it's honorable. I mean, anyone who serves in the family, you go through it together.
Yeah, my son Steven's actually at Fort Campbell right now, Kentucky. He's in the
Oh.
Army.
Wow.
Okay.
Tell him
And,
thank you.
yeah, big thank you for
Very
his
big thank
service.
you. Yeah.
And that must make you pretty proud.
Oh, it does, yeah. He's a good young man, and he's doing great down there.
Good. That's awesome. So, let's talk, you obviously identify with a party.
I guess
Or
not
are you-
locally.
Are you independent, or do you affiliate yourself with a national party, or what?
Well, nationally, I affiliate with more Republican. I believe the principles of the giving people opportunity, and you make it happen yourself. I'm not going to do it for you, but we'll give you the opportunity. We'll teach you how to do it. We'll create the opportunity, the atmosphere, whatever it's going to take to help people achieve. That's
So what, when you first started as mayor of Round Lake, you said that there were a lot of financial issues.
yeah, Round Lake Beach.
Round Lake Beach, okay.
Right, yeah.
RLB.
Yeah.
And then you just correct me. Soon, by the end of the show, I may get it. I may not, and you wonder why I'm not yelled at by judges. Do you hear me? What? So forgive me. So when you first went and became mayor of RLB, and so there were a lot of financial difficulties, and so how did you overcome that? And then what were some of the other difficulties that went into when you first got as mayor?
Well, actually, this financial difficulty I found out when I was a trustee, running for trustee. There was no different mayor at that time. And when actually, once I won the election in April, we had our first meeting, and they said, "Oh, yeah, by the way, you were right about all this stuff. We are short $1 million." In fact, they found like another $200,000 in mistakes also when they went through the whole budget.
Oh my God.
So we worked all together. We had to cancel a lot of projects, cancel buying police cars, they canceled a lot of things. At that time, they had a budget that went from January 1st to December 31st. So by May, we were already 4 months into the budget, which made it even more difficult.
Oh, wow.
So we tightened the belt. We worked hard to cut expenses and got through that year. And the next couple of years, started building a fund, working more on business relocation to Round Lake Beach, which helped tremendously. That businesses really drive our sales tax and our property tax and everything else that helps fund all the services. And slowly but surely, we got out of the red into the black, and nowadays we have about a $6 million fund balance, which allows us to get a good bond rating. We just did $5 million in bonds this year for the road resurfacing and road reconstruction, and we were able to get some great rates because we had that bank balance.
Great.
Oh, very good. And then So you've been mayor for
Just-
4 terms?
I'm in my 4th term, it'll
Okay.
end in the spring.
So that's 16 years.
Yes.
And after the first like financial missed budget, missed a few line items there, what was the next kind of stuff that you tackled? Was it the bonds, or what was the next biggest thing that you think that you achieved for Round Lake Beach?
A lot of the facilities were
Is that right,
old.
right there?
Yes, a lot of the facilities were really old, and so we had to upgrade and build some new facilities. We were in the old Public Works building, it was our village hall over at Clarendon, which is now the health facility for Lake County.
Yeah.
So we ended up building a new police station first, because our police station, was the old Park District building, was actually over in Round Lake Heights. It was kind of
Oh.
strange.
Okay.
Okay.
So we built it up at our campus by the post office, the municipal way up there. And then we built several years later, added on the new village hall to that, and then we ended up building a culture center. So we've
Wow.
been building quite a few nice buildings in town. They're more usable and more functional, and we can have staff work better together. Before, we were all separated in different buildings, and it was very difficult. Police department kind of thought that they were their own entity out there, because they weren't with anyone, they were on their own.
Sure.
So now that they're all in the same building, it's a lot better working relationship, and not only with the police department, with the finance, and everyone else together like that.
That's excellent. I think services is a big thing that in Round Lake Beach and then in Lake County in general, is that a lot of the small towns have really improved their services, and I think that's great. And what else? What other changes have you seen around Round Lake Beach over the last 16, 20 years?
Oh, a lot of the development has happened. Before I was even mayor, when Country Walk got built on the north side of Rollins Road in the 80s and the 90s, there used to be big cow pastures up there and farms, and
Yes.
that changed our whole landscape. We had our south side of town was old, built in the 30s, 40s, and 50s. The north side was brand new, and that created a little dissension there for a while between the two sides. I think everyone's working together now, but at that point, why are we funding services for them down there? They should pay for their own stuff. And
So you had dual fighting municipalities within one district.
pretty much, yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, interesting.
Did it take a lot to, because I grew up here in Lake County. I'm a lifer. And I kind of laugh about it because I went away for a little while and went to Virginia and then brought my children back to raise them here in Lake County. But always Round Lake was Round Lake. Then all of a sudden it was Round Lake Beach, Round Lake Heights, Round Lake, and it's like, what happened here? How did you guys decide to split your already small town into all these little other areas? Did it take a lot? Was it?
Well, actually, that was done back years ago. Round Lake itself was established in 1908. And they were the first town, and then developers came over on kind of the north and east-west side of Round Lake, the lake itself, and built housing up there, which was separated from the village of Round Lake by a pretty good distance back then. And so they incorporated back in 1937 and created Round Lake Beach. Later on, Round Lake Park was incorporated because they were again separated. And slowly but surely, people annexed property, and now we all have the same borders all together. And so it does look kind of odd that we're all different names, different villages.
Yeah.
Round Lake Heights, Round Lake
Yes.
Beach.
Yeah. So each entity has its own mayor?
Yes.
Wow.
How are inter-mayor relations?
Very good. We have our differences also, like everyone else does.
Sure.
We all want to advocate for our own residents first and foremost, and then for the Round Lake area secondly. But we work well together. We serve on the like the CENTCOM board for the dispatch for police and fire together. Most of us are on the Joint Action Water Agency for our Lake Michigan Water. I'm also chairman of that board. So we have several different meetings. We work together on the Northwest Sanitary Policy Committee also for the sewer that goes to Fox Lake through the county interceptors. So yeah, we've got to stick together and work well together. And I think we have a good group of people right now that are mayors out here. Don't take anything personally. They try to work through it and talk professionally.
That's good.
Yeah, oh, yes.
Has it always been like that, or was there a little tension?
Oh, there's been times where there's tensions depending on who was mayor in which community.
Any good stories? You know where I'm going with
Yeah.
this. How I get around it is no names.
There you go.
But we'll figure it out.
And we won't tell anybody.
Yeah, we're not going to tell anyone.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned about the different communities. There have been 2 votes over the last probably 40 years to consolidate the whole Round Lake area. They both failed. There's recently a move to have a referendum on an upcoming ballot on November 8th to also consolidate Round Lake Park, and Round Lake Beach.
Yeah.
And that the judge kicked that one off the ballot because it wasn't filed early enough. It was filed a month too late. But it's an interesting concept, something that Mayor Gentis and I had talked about back when he was mayor of Round Lake. And then he moved on and wasn't mayor anymore, so that kind of fell to the wayside. My only concern with this referendum that they tried to put on was that there was no backup material, there's no studies done, no one knew what would happen.
Oh.
No impact studies or anything?
Nothing.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's
So
why we fought it to get it off the ballot, because people can't vote on something, but they don't know what the outcome's gonna be.
And think about, what's the population of Round Lake Beach?
28,000.
All right, so
Wow,
you're
that's a
talking
lot.
30,000 people.
Yeah.
And to make a major decision like that without any studies
information.
or was there any public hearings as to announcing it?
Nothing.
Oh, wow, because usually if you want to put up a parking sign, you gotta go through like 30 hours of, public hearings before you get the sign up.
And lots of signatures and
Yeah.
lots of awareness
Right.
and lots of town hall meetings.
So it's interesting,
Yeah.
so there was no public announcements or anything?
There was nothing, because the last election was the local election, there wasn't a lot of signatures needed, they needed I think, maybe 100 or 120. So it was easy to get those. They gathered those on a Saturday, Sunday. The following Tuesday, they filed it with the clerk of the circuit court to be on the ballot, and that's when we found out about it. So we challenged it right
Little-
away.
little
By the way,
shocker.
Yes.
by the way, we want to
Mhm.
combine our towns, Mayor.
Yeah.
So you just came into the office, saying good morning, barely got a cup of coffee, and spit it out all over the printout or the screen.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God.
Wow.
Wow.
So you thought it needed before something like that, because, I think about all the legal implications that you have to deal with municipal law, and I don't practice that area, and that itself is a real genre of law. But all the impacts from that, no studies, and then think about how all the lives could be changed or the services. And now, how long ago was that? Was that just a couple of years, or was that?
That was
recent?
for this election coming up.
Oh, no kidding.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, wow. So, you've been the mayor of Round Lake Beach, so you've developed certain municipal systems and things like that, and to change all that, I mean, that's really affecting almost everything, taxes and then all the
Schools.
services, the schools and the services
Everything.
that go out, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, all those things are put together. And you mentioned the taxes. We've been very proud that we've tried to keep our taxes low in Round Lake Beach. For the village portion, I can't control the schools or park district at all.
Sure.
But we're at only at about 86 cents per $100 of assessed valuation, whereas some of the other Round Lake communities are well over $1, $1.40 or so. So
Okay.
if we were to
Wow.
combine, the odds are we even at some place in the middle, and my residents will all be paying more. So that's one of the first reasons that we said, no, this isn't.
This will not work. This is not for us.
Welcome to home ownership. That's
Yeah.
the first thing, you want to get it paid off, and then you're still got a lot of taxes.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So that is a really interesting thing. At one time, this used to be just one city out here, and then so how many different Round Lake beaches are there?
Well, there's Round Lake
5.
Beach, Round Lake Heights, Round Lake,
Round Lake Park,
and
Round Lake Park,
So-
5.
4.
4,
Yeah,
all right.
4.
So,
Yeah.
right, the mail.
And some people toss Haynesville in the mix a little bit too, but they've been around before any of us.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think Haynesville started out as one street or something. It was very.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's pretty how, like, any town will probably see
Well,
it.
that's true, yeah, I know.
One Main
but-
Street, they call it Main Street.
They call it Main Street, and then, if you, well, and I never did this, but if you speed through Haynesville, that, sheriff over there was pretty rough. So, they knew who you were and,
If you speed through any of these small towns.
Oh, yeah, they know
you
who
can
you
go
are.
about 7 over, I tested this. And so
Yeah.
you go about 7, 8 over and you're okay.
Yeah.
If you start to go 10 or more,
Oh, yeah.
and I came right across from here, we have the police department, and I didn't speed in here, but I came around the corner and he was just standing there, and I stopped, and the officer's eyes got real big, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a really interesting concept, trying to combine all this, and so you were against it, and then it didn't make the ballot. So
Correct, yeah.
That's good. And then also, we just finished redoing Rollins Road by 83. So is that a big development
Oh, it's huge,
for the
yes,
area.
so-
So let's talk about that for a second.
Since I was in the Chamber of Commerce back in the early 90s, that was something that had come up as a thought that we need to separate the railroad tracks to, because that intersection was so bad, there's a lot of accidents there all the time.
Yes,
A lot of
yes.
people didn't want to wait.
Right.
Because the train would come through and it'd mess up the signalization. It'd take 15 minutes to straighten it out. Now the train would come through.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult. That allowed the whole intersection, if you've been through there now, there's dual left turn lanes, you can go straight, you
It's
can turn right.
beautiful.
Oh,
It's just beautiful. It's wide. It gives you ample room to, do what you need to do. And I don't see very many accidents over there. I live over that way, so at first I was like, oh my goodness, this is going to take forever to start
Mhm.
with. And then, through all the snow and everything else, I thought, oh, but it turned out beautifully. So, it gives people great room to move. So,
Yeah, and a big thank you to the Round Lake Area Park District for allowing them to use the park over there as a temporary road. So we
yeah.
didn't have to close the road down very long. And
Right.
that made a big difference.
That's a big project.
Yes, it was,
The
$60 million.
overpass, wow, man, that much?
Yeah,
Wow,
Yeah.
that's a lot of money. And then, was that, a lot of money came from the federal government, or a lot of it was local, do you know
the large majority was all Lake County. Years
Really?
ago, the state imposed this extra sales tax in Lake County, about 0.5%, which 1/4% would go to the CTA, Metro, all that, and the other 1/4% would be used towards roads in Lake County. And they funded a lot of big projects based on that 1/4%. It's been a godsend since the state of Illinois hasn't kept up their roads, which Route 83, we've been asking for years. They're finally in a phase 2 study at least for Route 83 to make it into 4 lanes. So they're moving forward slowly but
Wow.
surely, but the funding phase is the expensive phase, and that's nowhere in the books.
Of course not.
We'll do another study. So, interesting. So, we got about 3-4 minutes before we gotta take a break. And, so you get off the hot seat for a minute. So hopefully you enjoy coming on the radio.
I do, I love it, yes.
Good. Then, we'll definitely have you back if you'll come.
Certainly.
And, let's, we'll go to break a couple seconds, but I wanna come back, I wanna talk about, Illinois financing from the state, huge deficits. I think one of the other things we can talk about is, pensions, maybe, and then, if you got some other things that you wanna mention, about Round Lake or some other topics, feel free.
Will do.
So, all right, we're gonna go to break here, and we'll be back in a couple minutes, the Dave Mierswa Show. Mayor Hill and Peggy Busceni,
Busceni, yes.
co-host.
Illinois. David Mierswa is a leading trial attorney, bringing nearly 2 decades of business law, family law, personal injury, and estate planning experience to the show. The Dave Mierswa Show, about the people, for the people, and bringing justice to the people. On every Sunday from 12 to 1 p.m. on WRLR 98.3, the voice of Lake County.
Welcome back to the Dave Mierswa Show. I'm your host, Dave Mierswa,
I'm co-host Peggy Busceni.
and I have a very special guest.
Mayor Rich Hill from Round Lake Beach.
Yeah.
He stuck around during break. I thought he was gonna take off. He was looking at the door, but Peggy blocked him.
I did. Totally threw myself, right into it just for the team.
He tried to get out of the studio, but we locked the door now.
Yes.
So we got another about 25 minutes with the mayor.
Ooh, sweating like crazy in here.
You're locked in here, Mayor. So we kind of talked about some topics before break, and I got all the machinery to work.
Mm-hmm, yes,
So
beautifully.
hats off to the electronic god.
Yes.
So everything worked. We kind of focused the first half an hour. We focused on local stuff. So let's kind of talk about Illinois a little bit and some of the issues facing Illinois. And obviously, the biggest one that comes to mind is financial and these pensions. So what's your opinion and input on that?
Well, there's 2 different aspects of the pension. One is how it affects us locally, because the state legislature are the ones that determine the police and fire pension. And that's been a big crimp on us, because it's pretty heavy-duty pension. And when the economy tanked and they lost a lot of money in the pension funds, we had to go up quite high to pay our pensions. Right now, we're assessing probably about $1 million a year just for the police pensions. And
Wow.
yeah, it's pretty high. One of the things that we've been trying to push through the Illinois Municipal League, which I serve on the board for the Illinois Municipal League also, is that at least combine all these pensions into one. Right now, every village has their own little pension fund, they have their own little pension board, they have their, everyone's gonna be trained, they have to have their own advisors, which can suck up quite a bit of
Wow.
money. As opposed to what we do for the rest of the municipal employees, they have the Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund, IMRF,
Yes.
which is for the whole state of Illinois. It covers all the villages, we all contribute to it. It's a lot better run, it's made a lot more money in it, and our rate is a lot lower because of that. If the state would at least just pass that, they could probably save us 10-15% of what we're paying right now, which is
Wow.
big money.
That's $150,000, $200,000.
Yes. Mhm.
And what's the total budget of Round Lake Beach?
Our general fund budget's about 11 million right now.
Okay, so 1 million of that goes into pensions.
Yes,
Wow.
And so that's 10%.
yeah.
Wow, that's a lot of budget.
Yes, it is, considering the services we could offer with additional money.
Yeah, and I'm the first one that I want to take care of our first responders and also our teachers. And they're on the front lines of the young children. And sometimes a lot of these kids only have one parent.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the teachers end up almost being a parent to them too. It shouldn't be that way, but it is. You know, so a big thank you to all the first responders. But yeah, the pension is just such a huge, and we discovered it was only about 5-6 years ago how much it was in the hole, $100 billion.
For the state of Illinois, yes.
Yeah, which is, it's really insane.
It's hard even to imagine that kind of money, the value of that. It's
And-
staggering.
You got $11 million budget for Round Lake Beach.
Yes.
Right.
And, you know, and you got 30,000 people there.
Yes.
And then you think about that number, $100 billion or more. It's probably more, 120 or more. And I've been waiting, and then Cook County has a lot of the financial difficulties with the pension, and they averted the teacher union strike, which is good.
Thank goodness.
How healthy is Lake County finances with their pensions?
The county itself is very well. There's some municipalities throughout the county that are really hurting, and some that are doing quite well. You look at like the Village of Gurnee, they have major sales tax revenue coming in. That's not gonna bother them at all, they can afford it. Some other communities that are bedroom communities, they either have to tax the residents pretty high to pay those pensions, or they actually have very low pension funding. There's some, I think they're down in the 20s or 30% of what they should have.
Wow.
Which is a big concern. Yeah, we're about 72% in our community. And a lot of that is we're still catching up from the recession, when not that we didn't put the money in, but the money that was there was, say, I don't know, $10 million, and it dropped down to $6 million in 4 or 5 months.
So how many years before Round Lake Beach is balanced with the pension?
I think we have another 30 years that we're allowed by state law, and
Okay.
you have to fund so much every year. There's actuarial studies that are done through specific purposes. The police pension fund actually has their own actuary that does that, and then we also have the state of Illinois insurance also does that too. So between the two, we come up with a number pretty close and fund it accordingly.
Wow.
Do you see any kind of hope, and I use this word carefully as an attorney, do you see kind of any hope on any method of Springfield working together in trying to solve the budget crisis? Because it affects all the counties, and a lot of money from downstate. You know, as we were talking, one part of one city didn't want to pay for another part of the city. A lot of residences from downstate are basically funding Cook County. You know, so the argument goes. And I've been waiting for a lot of the local politicians. I've been waiting for a lead from Michael Manigan to put this on his agenda and to even talk about it. And there's nothing. It's this avoidance. And
It has been.
So have you heard anything? Have you talked to any other representatives in the government that have come up with a plan? Has it been addressed at all? What, you know a lot more than I do, being a mayor, so what?
Well,
Any
last
insight?
spring, there was a real nice working group that had senators and state legislators on there working together, trying to come up with a balance between the two sides, because right now they're pretty far apart. The governor wants to make some changes in the way Illinois does business to get more businesses to come to town, is stay in town. Unfortunately, we've had a lot of businesses leave our Illinois because of the workers' comp is extremely expensive in Lake County, or not just Lake County, just the whole state of Illinois.
Right.
And some of the other issues too that affect businesses, and the cost of doing business in Illinois is so much higher. So they, why would a business pay that extra money instead of moving across the state lines, and they can have more either to pay their employees higher, or they can have a better profit and reinvest the money in expanding their business. There's so many positives to that. So I agree with a lot of what the governor wants to do, but at the same time, some of the things that he's asking for are a little too far-fetched. Can't think of anything specifically here other than he was looking for some of the right to work laws to be passed locally instead of statewide, which I don't think will work. I think it's going to happen, it has to be across the whole state.
Yeah, I think there's two sides to Illinois. There's down south, and then there's northeast, and where you have a lot of the union representatives, and that's a big thing, right to work, and obviously unions can drive up costs. In some ways they don't, and that's an interesting thing that this deficit. I've been waiting now for the last 10 years. I found out about it probably about 8-9 years ago, and I've been waiting for it to be addressed somehow, some way, just to make it on the radar. And it is such a huge problem. And I think another one of the huge problems, like what you mentioned, was the businesses leaving Illinois. Have you found a lot of businesses moving into Lake County and around Lake Beach area?
No, unfortunately, we don't have a lot of the major roads for transportation, so there's no manufacturing to speak of. We have a couple small spots in town, but they all want to be closer to I-94. If Route 53 ever moves up north here, the way it's supposed to many, many years ago, that'll help the village around Lake tremendously, because they have access to that then. They have a lot of vacant land down there that could build into some pretty nice industrial. But not too much over here. We've seen that over more along Gurney area, again, right with the tri-state right there. They have a nice business park. It's pretty full right now. They've expanded with some new companies. One was a food maker recently that went over there. I don't remember their name.
Okay.
I used to serve on Lake County Partners Board of Directors too, and they're the ones that are public-private quasi-economic development company for Lake County. And they have a pretty rosy outlook for Lake County, provided the state of Illinois steps up and makes some things, levels the playing field, so to speak, with the other states.
So generally, Lake County is pretty healthy
Yes.
overall, as opposed to Cook County, which is
Very much.
Well, there's a few little, I don't want to say illnesses, but, just a little sores here and there in Cook County that could prove to be, well, they are pretty rough.
What are these sores?
Well, no.
I'm gonna draw it out of you.
I know, no, just, hot spots in Cook County that,
Mayor, she's being so PC this morning.
I know.
You tamed her. I don't know what's going on here.
Hey, you said I can't swear, so I'm not gonna.
Oh, we can use covert language.
I
Darn.
know, I know, yeah.
Darn it.
Mhm.
So, but, well, Mayor, I think another huge problem that I've seen is a lot of businesses leaving Illinois, and when you drive up to Milwaukee, in the last 5 years alone, there have been, that whole corridor, first of all, Wisconsin expanded the highway to, I think it's 4 lanes or 5 lanes.
It's a beautiful ride.
Yeah, all the way up to
Easy.
Milwaukee. It never
Yeah.
used to be.
No.
It's better now.
Mhm.
But you look, and I was looking for a year and a half. I go, what the heck are they building over there? And this is on the east side. Yeah, as you go north,
Yes.
south, west side, east, whatever. The right side is you
It
go
was all
north.
the car dealerships and stuff.
Right, but
and
right
all
to
that.
right to the right there is the Amazon.
Oh, yeah.
That building took about a year and a half to build.
Big.
And then all of a sudden you see that, and it's all, I believe, this is just my opinion, but I believe it all has to do with taxes
It does.
and why they situated just over the border. And then they can access the Chicago corridor, what you said. And it's a real shame. I've heard just a lot of companies moving to Indiana that were in Chicago, and was it Boeing? Did Boeing move out?
Boeing lift, yeah.
Boeing, and then they fought so hard, I think it was
Get 'em here.
Yeah, Mayor Emanuel
Yeah,
really fought hard to bring in Boeing,
yeah.
and then, so they get them here and they don't keep them. So what, so you think one of the things that we should do is lower the business tax and Do we know what rate? that
Well, the
we're-
business tax isn't so bad. That's set in the Constitution. They can only be a certain percentage of what our local individual taxes are. The bigger problems are all the regulations that are around a lot of the businesses and things like like I said, the workers' comp insurance.
Okay.
And for manufacturing, that's pretty high. I've worked in retail for 40 years now, so we deal with it too. But retail is a lot lower. We still have issues and some of the rules you have to go around and deal with. In the state of Illinois are kind of the only time I've ever seen that in the country, where you're dealing with people and the payouts if somebody gets injured and they say that they hurt their shoulder or something. Now the Supreme Court has said that the shoulder is also covered as a man as a whole, which means you're pretty much completely disabled if something happens to your shoulder. So you're paying 100% benefits to people like that. And that
That's
just doesn't
steep.
happen anywhere else.
Yeah.
I actually know some worker comp attorneys, and I've seen the cars they drive, and they drive pretty nice cars.
Yeah.
Imagine.
So,
Mhm.
so the
Big
settlement-
business.
You know, and I always hear some attorneys say, "Oh, I'm poor," and I'm like, "Yeah, let me see the car you're driving."
Okay.
But yeah, I think workers' comp. There was another company that literally moved across the border to Indiana, and they also have tax havens that they had for the businesses, and they and just in 6 months alone, they saved like $100,000 on workers' comp insurance.
I know the Caterpillar,
Yeah.
the owners there had done a big op-ed a couple years ago saying how bad they want to expand in Illinois because they have a lot of good people here, a lot of good workers,
Mhm.
but they can't afford to just expand here. So they've been expanding in other countries and other states.
Yeah, and for the life of me, and I don't understand why Springfield, and this has to go with Michael Mannigan, you know, the father of Springfield in Illinois. But I don't understand why they don't make the conditions more conducive. And, you know, maybe they're so used to slaying us property tax payers
Yes.
that it's been such a golden nugget here that they just don't want to change their ways. And
Well, pretty
like-
soon people are gonna run out of money and patience and time, and, you know, I know several people who are fleeing the state just for tax purposes. I'm like, really, no, you know, no businesses, of course, but, you know, people, individuals, it's like, they can't even afford to live here. So, yeah, and it will end when maybe somebody gets out of office or something.
she's trying to be PC again.
I know.
Well, who's that someone?
You know, I don't know, Mr. Radigan, yeah, but,
Right,
you
you're
know.
sworn in,
Yeah.
you're under the oath of perjury.
I know. Oh, God, it is frustrating. I mean, you know, owning a home and trying to keep the taxes and,
Sure.
you know, even a paid off home, the taxes are just killer here, so.
I meet a lot of senior citizens.
Mhm.
They have lived out here 20, 30 years, and sometimes in the same house. And I hear this quite often, that the taxes are pretty hard to pay for on their limited income. And like Gurney, I like the idea of Gurney where, I mean, they're best situated. They got so lucky, you know, being where they are, right next to the highway. It's no coincidence it went right through there, the corridor. But, you know, they have such a commercial basis, and with Six Flags and so forth. And so what else, Mayor, do you think would help Illinois? I love it here. And I actually, about 4 or 5 years ago, I had a discussion with Karen, and I was seriously contemplating moving back. I'm a cheesehead, so forgive me. And I'm a Green Bay Packer fan. They play at 3:30 today.
Yeah, oh, okay, we gotta get out there.
Yeah, I gotta go find a bar, a tavern, and the game. And but go Cubs. But
Yes.
but 5 years ago, I'm like, I've had it. I've had it with Illinois and the mismanagement of monies, and I was ready to move back to Milwaukee. And I started looking, and I go, I guess we'll see each other on the weekends. And she's like, I don't want to move because, you know, this is where we work. And so at that point, I'm like, you know, you're right. So that's when I dug my heels in, and I started becoming a lot more politically aware what's going on. And it was about 5, 6 years ago. And then, yeah, the $100 billion deficit came out, and it's just an eye opener. And then, especially in the last 4 or 5 years on the federal circuit. So we got about 5, 6 minutes left in the show. So should we talk about the federal politics, or should we let that go because it's Sunday? What do you think?
That was a very hot topic for so many different people, and people are very emotional about it.
Yes. Yes.
I've never seen an election before that was so emotional that people base their decisions on some little things or some big thing that are big to them.
Yeah.
But it's single issue voters, a lot of single issue voters right now.
Oh, well, all right, there's no surprise, I wear my Trump t-shirt. And it's very emotional, and I was expecting someone to literally come up and push me or whatever and really get in my face, but I had a lot of compliments go Trump.
Yeah.
So, and I didn't wear that shirt into Cook County yet. So that's my next experiment. So if I disappear again, you'll have to take over the show.
Well, no, well, we'll send you in with an armed guard, because, it's, a little dangerous, but, maybe there are some Trump fans in the city and you just don't know it, or they've been quiet about it, or.
So you're volunteering to be my bodyguard.
Of course, of course.
So,
Heck yeah.
but I think you're right. It was one of the biggest turnouts on the first debate. And then the second debate was, I think, like the second biggest, and Trump finally found his rhythm.
You're struggling at first, I guess.
And we all know this. We talked about. I did a show on the media that it's really journalism is dead.
Pretty much so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we go CNN, the Clinton News Network, like Fox too. Fox is
Yeah.
a little bit right.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're a little more center, but they've really gone over the hill, and they've really have propelled us into being so emotional. And you think about, I'm for Trump, but you got to say he's insulted just about everyone.
Well, sure, it's an equal opportunity.
He's not a real good politician yet.
Yes.
He's still an average guy in the street that's not used to talking correctly or politically correct, as you've said so often today. And
But that's why we
he's
love
not-
him.
Exactly, right.
Well, right, because.
He's down to earth, he's gonna say what he means.
Yeah,
And I think a lot of people that are liberal, they don't understand that with us, and we understand that he's got a history. He's an alpha male,
yeah.
billionaire, so he's probably got he's done a lot of things, and
He knows what he's doing,
yeah.
and so he doesn't quite have the velvet glove yet. That's
Yeah.
all, velvet glove will be great once he figures out how to use it.
and I don't think he ever will. And to be quite honest, I don't think I want him to.
Well,
Me
that's
either.
true, right, yeah.
And he may be just a four-termer. If he gets in, I want to see the liberal media implode. And
don't
I
know.
got a lot of friends that it goes back and forth. You've seen it on Facebook, and one tweet goes out. So there was obviously a Democrat, and he said
sure.
some things about Trump. And I asked him if he was a Republican, and he went off. It was like 5 tweets.
Yeah,
Or 5 posts on Facebook, and I go, can you clarify? So you are a Republican? And it was like another string of like 4 or 5,
yeah,
and they take it so seriously, and I guess it is very seriously. But some people are losing family members
Over this,
and
yeah.
friends. I had another guy post that if you don't like what I have to say,
Unfriend me.
Yeah, unfriend me on
Yeah.
Facebook.
Yeah.
And it's like, is this what it's come to?
No, it should be open on a healthy discussion is what it should be. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, we're all right in the gutter right away with all the issues rather than the things that really affect our lives.
Right.
The issues.
Yes.
So our advice, I think Trump is listening to
I
us.
think so too.
So your
Every
advice.
Sunday.
I think he tunes in every Sunday to the show.
Yes, he
On
does.
WRLR. And so, Mayor, if you're going to give advice to Donald Trump, what would be your advice to him? To
Just stick with the
succeed?
issues, let the people know what you're going to do to change this country and just make us great again, as he says, and stop with the little, schoolyard tactics. That's not helping anybody.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Stop falling into the trap
Yeah.
of what they're trying to set, and make a quick comment about, and then turn towards the issues.
Correct.
And the last debate, did you watch last debate?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and when he attacked Hillary, that started getting old, but then he started getting into the issues,
Yeah,
and I think that's when he was his strongest.
Me too, but it's
So-
unfortunate the moderators kept on going back to some of these things that weren't so important instead of things that are important.
Right. And he's got to learn. I think the third one is this Wednesday.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I'm going to tune into it.
well, of
And
course.
his pit bull personality is going to come out.
Yeah,
But I think he's going to learn to pivot more. And it's a person from Fox News who's moderating it.
ooh, I don't know.
I forget. He's
I'm
from
not
Fox
sure.
News. So So the questions will be a little more center, maybe a little more right, but I think he's got to learn to pivot, saying, that's an interesting question, and, that's a great question. And then you smile and say, I know that's important, spend 20 seconds on that,
Right.
insult Hillary,
Yeah,
and then pivot back to the issues. And that's a formula, and we do that in court.
yeah,
And I don't insult the other attorney too much, but
Sure.
we pivot.
Yeah.
And I only do a character assassination of the other client, I don't have anything else. So, and that's a tactic, and obviously, and then I listened to talk show a lot this week, and I heard that they're not attacking Trump, but they're trying to wear down his followers to not go and vote.
oh,
And that made a lot of sense.
sure,
I mean, because most of the hardcore followers are going to follow him,
Right.
but there are some that are on the fringe, and they're trying to wear out the voters. So I don't know. And then it seems too, I heard this on talk show, that they're trying to see who's going to go most negative,
yeah.
and that seems to be a pretty accurate pattern. What do you think, Mayor?
Yeah, I agree with you on a lot of that stuff, and it's too bad the news media isn't bringing out more of the issues either, even like the WikiLeaks that all got exposed recently. You see little bits and pieces, but
Nothing.
when I read this,
Nothing
it's
about
like,
it.
it's this major news.
Oh yeah, it's all over Fox News, of course.
Mhm.
But yeah, CNN they broke down the minutes. It was like 10 minutes on Trump and all that, and it was like 30 seconds, and then there was another one that didn't even mention it. And so he's fighting, and you got to think too. Trump is fighting a lot of the Republicans. Everyone's fighting with him.
Well, but
because
it's the
he's-
media telling us that he's fighting with the Republicans. I mean, this Paul Walker up in Wisconsin, saying, "Oh, I can't vote for him" and stuff.
Oh, Paul Ryan, yeah.
Or, I'm sorry, yeah, Paul Ryan. And the media is just pitting the whole party against each other, and then causing more havoc. And if they buy into that,
Right.
then it is going to turn into a, within the party an implosion. So,
Stick to the issues.
yeah,
Yes.
that's all.
You got like 1 minute left, or 30 seconds here. Mayor, thank you for coming on my show.
I love it. I had a great time, a lot of good issues discussed, and I look forward to
Great.
doing it again.
Oh.
Probably after the next election, so we'll see what turns up.
Okay,
Cool.
and you have an open invitation to come on my show anytime.
Oh, great,
Just let
thank
me
you.
know, and we'll talk to you before the next election in April. But if you ever need anything, or you feel the urge and you got a issue to talk about on the show, please come back on.
Sounds great, thank you.
And thank you. So, all right, we're gonna go to break here, and then we have another guest coming on. So.
Yes, we do.
Okay, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Well,